The topic of my lesson is entitled as When Understanding Fails. When Understanding Fails. And the topic is further divided into three subtopics. Subtopic 1, the shocking announcement. Subtopic 2, Peter's reaction. And subtopic 3, the response of Jesus. The shocking announcement. In Matthew chapter 16 verses 21 to 23, we find Jesus announcing to his disciples about his suffering and imminent death in the hands of sinners and his resurrection on the third day. Jesus knew that this must happen so that the scriptures will be fulfilled. The beginning of the verses indicates that Jesus on this occasion had revealed something new to his disciples, and new information has been passed on to his disciples, which surely might have shocked some of the disciples when they heard about it. So what was Peter's reaction when Jesus revealed about his resurrection and his death? The disciples, at their disbelief of the horrifying information received from the Master, was probably finding it hard to sink in the new information. Peter, on the other hand, displeased by the Master's strange declaration, thought it would be a good idea to tell his Master that such things will not happen under his watchful eyes. He was emboldened to make the confrontation at his Master because of his pride when Jesus told him that God had revealed to him about the identity of his Master, which we find in the preceding verses. Peter didn't know what the consequences of his reaction would sum up to because he didn't comprehend, or he was unable to comprehend or understand the revelation of Jesus and the importance of why he must suffer, be put to death, and then rise on the third day. The response of Jesus. Peter was creating a stumbling block for Jesus. Peter thought he was trying to help Jesus, but instead he was only being a problem for Jesus. Jesus had to rebuke Peter very sternly, and this stern response from Jesus was important to help Peter understand that he was totally wrong in his understanding or in his thinking, thereby committing a sin as he was not speaking from God. Peter was advocating for Satan, and therefore Jesus had to remind him that the will of God is perfect, even when it means going through the hardest struggles or the darkest valleys in life. The mind of man is set on the things that are vain, but the mind of Christ set on the spiritual things, on the things of the Spirit. So, what are the applications for Christians? The application for Christians is that when our understanding fails, we make errors and mistakes like Peter. Peter didn't understand that God's will is fulfilled in the death and resurrection of Jesus and had no knowledge why the sacrificial act of Jesus was necessary to bring the entire human race back to the plan of God. We are all like Peter in many ways when we trust in our own conceptions, in our own perceptions. We are like Peter in many ways when we do not reflect on the knowledge of God for understanding and make meaning of the problem when we're faced with a problem, We hardly make time to recall the scriptural teachings of Jesus in times of confusion relating to our faith. We are like Peter, who focus too much on the worldly things, we forget the teachings of Jesus. Let us all be like Jesus, who knows the will of his Father, who thinks daily about the will of his Father, and who daily practices the will of his Father, and who always desires the will of his Father. Let us understand God's word meaningfully so that we're able to apply in our lives and make meaning of the gospel.